So Peter, thanks for joining us today at Adapt's Digital Edge. And today's theme is exponential impact and driving transformation at scale. In your role there at Southeast Water, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think digital's been around for a while now, but from my perspective, it's really about value. And we deliver value through a number of different channels. So the first one is with our customers and making sure, how do we serve our customers going forward? Looking, being a monopoly, we are in a slightly different situation. So we're not about new products, we're very much a regulated business, but looking how we drive that value for our customers. Looking also at those values for internally, how do we move forward as an organisation? So it's not really about the technology, but it's about the outcome and the journey we go through to make sure as an organisation we're using innovation, we're looking at what's occurring within the marketplace, looking at new technologies and working out how do we drive Southeast Water forward.
And when we think about value for Southeast Water, we're very much thinking about that value to customer, that experience to customer as well. And as I understand it, as you've sort of embarked on change, you really thought about how you could improve the experience at point of bill, but also through the entire service to that customer as well. Can you talk us through a little bit how you approach this change to deliver value for your customers?
One of the keys for us is, I think you need to think big picture and act small but think big picture. So a good example at the moment is we're doing a lot of work around digital meters. And as an organisation, we are really information poor. So currently we have 4 data points for customers, and we are embarking on a very large digital meter rollout. And that's really about transformation. It's not about meter readings. It's about how do we use information to better service our customers, tell them what's occurring within the household, give them real-time information around how they can better use water, avoid bill shock, and also I think longer term around sustainability for Victoria. Water is a precious resource, so how can we better manage that resource? How can we manage demand going forward? But also then feeding that into our infrastructure, our capital works programs. So how do we actually move from being reactive to proactive, so we actually understand what's occurring within the customer, understand what can we do around our meter networks, our water networks, and sewer networks. So we are investing very heavily at the moment in IoT, and this is not just about, it's about pressure, it's about consumption, it's about alarms and alerts, vibrations. So we actually understand what's occurring in real time within the water networks, the sewer networks, so we can avoid the burst, fix them up when they leak, avoid sewage blockages, fix up before they spill. Also making sure that, how are we investing in the capital works programs, look towards just-in-time asset replacement. And one of the things that's really challenging for our organisation is we have assets on the ground which are over 100 years old, and we have very little insight in them. Our forefathers did a great job building a very sophisticated water and sewer networks, but now we've got up to renewal programs, making sure we do make the right decisions and doing that through digital. So the key for us is information.
So we're talking about information. We're talking about getting insights that can help us as the organisation make better decisions in terms of managing those long-lasting assets, getting insights into how our customers are using our precious resource, water, but also then getting insights into how, as a utility provider, we connect across the broader ecosystem as well. And by getting those insights, has that driven a change at all in terms of how the executives at the organisation make their decisions, or what have been some of the challenges in changing those decisions?
We're definitely changing. There's no doubt that as an organisation, as we move towards a data-driven organisation, and we have a program called Digital Utility, and that's really not about deploying devices, but how do we actually use information, as mentioned earlier, around decision making. And it's really about getting the insights around what's occurring with our projects and how do we turn that into the life cycle of an asset. So if we're building a new treatment plant or upgrading a treatment plant, how do we look at the digital engineering components of that to better run the plant once we go live, thinking about the replacement program going forward, looking at the complete life cycle around decision making, and making sure that we have to weigh up options. With such a large network, making sure we are making the right decision and we are deciding what assets we need to replace when, making sure we are looking at the future demands of customers. As Melbourne grows, we need to make sure that we are able to manage that infrastructure, service that infrastructure. So as new suburbs come out towards packing across infill developments very large within Melbourne, making sure we do have the infrastructure available, so making sure we are making decisions based on information, thinking about how we go forward. So, and it's also about sustainability also. So if you look at the Docklands at the moment, which is a great example, that's going to be 60,000 units going forward. It's going to become the largest infill development within Australia. And how do we actually plan for that? How do we think about the reuse of water? And water's changed a great deal over the years. You don't really realise it, but we've gone from just having water and sewer, now we're into third pipelines, desal plants, pressurised sewer systems. So as we evolve both from an engineering point of view, it's really important that we use technology and that information which it drives to make better decisions.
Yeah. And as we focus more on that sustainability piece, it sounds like you've got that really practical but also economic approach to sustainability, which helps drive those decisions. And what we find in our research as well is that those organisations that focus more on sustainability through these kinds of modernisations are 4 times more likely to be able to get the end-to-end visibility that they need across their ecosystem to then drive further change. And as you sort of talk about that change in the input landscape, certainly from those different types of water sources, but also where you're outputting to, both in terms of urban sprawl out to the suburbs, but also scale up in the internal suburbs, how are you thinking through how you can almost platform this kind of approach with your ecosystem partners as well?
Yeah, well, it really is about partnerships because, the days of building large-scale in-house development has finished. We're currently going through a modernisation of some of the key applications, and that's really removing the last of our legacy systems within South East Water. And it's about establishing really clear building blocks. And the building blocks in our world, is around the customer. And in our world, we use Salesforce, but it's really ability to actually understand our different customer types. So it has to be a homeowner, a tenant, a plumber, a developer, the person who owns a fish and chip shop, all the way up to the large industry. Understanding the assets themselves, because we need to overlay the assets against the customer to get that true understanding. Thinking about our demand management going forward, so the ability then to work with different partners. So it could be innovation is such a key element around the water supply chain and what we can do around that area also. And it's combining all those 3 to 4 key elements together to drive outcomes.
Yeah. And as you said right at the top, it's starting with that value kind of conversation to then work back what investments in the digital side of things, but also in the civil infrastructure as well, to actually extend the useful life of these assets, improve the experience for customers and tradesmen and your other providers in the ecosystem.